share my desktop. So this session is recorded. Okay, so first is you need to install class yung SAM, which is that includes the MySQL database, that includes also the server, which is the Apache server. Okay, so once you already installed the application, so you need to run it. So ito yon, this is the control panel. So when you install some application, you need to create a shortcut icon, right? So that you can easily locate the application in your desktop. So kung wala naman, di kayo nakapag-create ng shortcut, so you can search SAMP in the search bar and then run the control panel. So once you run yung control panel of the SAMP, you will be directed to this window. So all you need to do is to click the server, yung Apache server, start, and the MySQL. So you need to click start. So see to it that it is running. So once the server and the MySQL database is running, so it is in color green. Okay, so you can close this or minimize. Okay, so for this example, once you already run this, you can click this plus. So you can click admin, for example this one, and then you will be directed to the window, this window, right? Just to the other window. Okay, so once you are here, so you can see here plus the link, it is localhost and then the dashboard. So this is the dashboard of SAM. Okay, so SAM is a cross-platform MySQL database, right? So A here, X here means cross-platform. A is Apache server. M is MariaDB or MySQL. And then PHP and then Perl. So that is the meaning of SAM. So once you are on this browser window, so you can click phpMyAdmin. You can see that here at the menu. So click phpMyAdmin. Then you will be directed to MariaDB or MySQL database using phpMyAdmin. Okay, so this is your MySQL database window. Okay, so once you are here class, so you can, in order to create your database, so click the databases, then you can now create your database. For example, in your case study, so sabi yung case study problem natin. This one, so this is your case study. Kita nyo ba yung window?
Opo, sir.
Okay, so this is the problem set. You download this in the file menu. So it means that you need to create database and tables in MySQL. So using phpMyAdmin on SAM. So the name of the database is library_db. And we have at least 5 tables. So there are 5 tables. And then you need to populate the tables with the table entries that you can see in here in the tables. Okay, so say for example, we create, anyway, if this is this one is Google Chrome browser, nag-run yung phpMyAdmin doon sa browser yun, ibang browser. So if you want to run it here, so type on the URL tab, so yung localhost / so you can see php myadmin. Okay. So halimbawa lang, so enter. So dito na tayo class. So localhost phpMyAdmin. So it means that the address of your local server, right, is actually this one, 127.0.0.1, right, via TCP/IP. right? Or yung 127.0.0.1, this is an IPv4 address. This is reserved for localhost. Ayan, localhost. So pwede naman yan ilagay dyan. Instead of localhost, you can type 127.0.0.1. So pwede naman yan. Okay? So because that is the local or the IP address of our local server. So you can see here, class, the details of the server. It is using, the server type is MariaDB for MySQL database. User is root, right? Ito yung root user at localhost. It is using the UTF-8 Unicode encoding string, yung text, and so on and so forth. So you can also read documentation about phpMyAdmin. Okay, so to create database, you click on databases. So type in the database name, di ba, library _db. So once na na-type nyo na, you type the name of the database. You do not need to change anything here. So it means that you can see down here the current databases. So ito yung mga current mayroong database. But actually the default ay mga dalawa lang mayroon dito. phpMyAdmin, MySQL, information schema. Yung BankDB, ginamit ko yan sa activity. Saka yung test. Right, in other classes. So type library, that is the name of your library, library _db, and then create. And then after that, you need to create table. So this is now, class, your library _db database. So if you, so wala pa siyang table. So for example, this one, BankDB, so it has tables here, right? So it means that wala pang tables yung library database natin. So we create number one, users table. The name of that is users _tbl. So subukan natin, users _tbl. It means table. Okay, so this one identifies the number of columns. So if you will check, so we have at least 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 columns. So it means the default is 4. Kung tatlo lang yan, bawasan mo lang. Click mo lang yung arrow up and down. So we have 4 and then click go. Okay. And then you will be directed here, class, to the structure of your table. Table name. These are the structures where you will put your attributes of your table. So first is ID. So type here ID. So the type of that is in. And then we also make ID as the primary key. So how do we create primary key? So just click, class, this one AI. It means auto increment. So since in our ID here, right, although hindi siya auto increment, so okay lang, pwede naman siyang hindi auto increment. So hindi siya naka auto increment. It means that kapag ito ay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so kasi ito 5 na. Pero pwede naman yan. So auto increment. Now if you click on the auto increment checkbox, so naka-primary key na yung ID. So integer. Next is full name. So type here the second attribute is full _name. And then in the type column, so select varchar. So marami pa dito, class. As you can see here, there are other data types. We have text, date, decimal, float, double, integer, big integer. We have for string, char, varchar, long text. We have binary. We have tiny blob, long blob. So this is used for media type of data. Halimbawa image, you can use blob o kaya video. And then we have also JSON, right? Meron din ditong date and time, merong timestamp, date and time, or the plain date, time, or year. So we'll select varchar. So once you have selected class yung varchar, you need to specify the length of the values. So this is name or full name. So let's have 30. The next is enabled. So enabled is, it means that F or T, it means perhaps this is true or false. So for this attribute, so enabled, right? So kung ano yung nandito class, whatever is the name of the attribute, yun lang ang ilagay nyo doon. So enabled, so since this is a single character, so you can use, let's say, car, string, car. And then lastly is last login. As you can see here, this is a timestamp or date and time. So lagay natin dito ay last login. Last underscore login. So for this, since this is date and time, you can select date and time or timestamp. Okay, so pag timestamp, may kasama tong, mayroon ito, nakita nyo dyan class yung default. Ayan, so meron siyang date and time. So we can select this timestamp. Okay, so once okay na, right? So we will save this table. Users table, it has 4 columns: ID, full name, enabled, and last login. Okay, so for this. Then click save. You can find the save button at the rightmost side corner. Okay, so please enter a valid length. So 2. Okay, dito sa car. So car and varchar dapat meron kang specified length. Sa timestamp kahit wala na or integer. Then save. So this is now our table structure. So once you are through class with that activity, you can see here your library database. You have one table, user table. Ito yung i-print screen nyo. So this will be one of print screen nyo to. This is one of the requirement for this case study. I-print screen nyo lang. Dito sa ano nyo, sa case study, if you go back on the instruction, nalagay dito. So go back here. Case study, performance task 6. So you need to create database and table and then add entries of the records. You need to provide in your submission screenshots of all tables with records of its table and the database diagram. Later on, I will show you the database diagram. Okay, so once okay na to, let's say for example, dito, i-close nyo yan. Kuha lang kayo ng Word, Microsoft Word, and then i-print screen nyo lang yung activity. But you need to crop nyo to class para kita ko yung submission nyo. So this is for the users table. This is the table structure. Okay? Ayan. Right? So ito yung table. So you can put here, this is the users table. Users underscore table. Structure. Structure. Wala pa tong entry. Diba? Wala pa tong entry. Okay, so bold nyo yan. So ito na yon. So this is one of the requirements. This is the table. And for the database, how will you submit that? Saan yung browser natin? Okay, so go back here. This is the database, right? Ayan. This is the users table database. So in a way, once you submitted your screenshot, makikita ko na to, right? Okay, so next is, this is now your database table, user table. Okay, so if you want to create another table, so click on the database, and then you can see here, create table, right? So nandito ulit. So create table, ito yung window niya, yung create table. Then create another table which is books, right? So ang pangalan daw ay books underscore TBL. So you can see here. So books underscore TBL. So it has ilan to? 2, 4, 5. Di ba? Yung 5 yung kanyang columns. And then click another again, go. And then what are the attributes? Then ID, same. So ID. So you can see here, single number. So auto increment. So it means increasing lang. Diba? 1, 2, 3. So we make it auto increment and also the primary key. And after that, title. So, and then bar chart. Then lagay natin, let's say 50. Medyo malaki. And then author. Right? This is a library database. So author. Then bar chart again. So large string. So sabihin natin 30. Next is published date. Timestamp din to. May underscore ba? Published underscore date. Okay, so published underscore date. And then use timestamp again. So date, select timestamp. Okay, and then lastly is ISBN number or ISBN. So ISBN. So pwedeng integer lang yan. Pero ano ba nakalagay? Ilang number ba to? So madami. So since madami siya, so you can big integer. Okay, so this is now the second table. So columns ID as our key, primary key, it is auto increment, title, author, so bar chart, published date, and ISBN. So once you are through with also identifying the type of data, then click save. So this is now our structure. Ano dito class, print screen nyo ulit yan and go back to your Word for submission, right? Tab lang natin. I-end. Okay. So, then, print screen nyo lang ulit yan. And then, i-crop nyo lang. This is your table structure for the second table. So, pwedeng hanggang dito. Okay, so pwedeng ito lang para mas malaki. Para kita ko yung ano nyo, ginawa nyo. Okay? So, dapat readable class ha. So, pwede nyo tong palitan pa. Basta kita ko hanggang dyan. Yan. Para malaki. So, this is for submission. And then you can put, this is your table to. This is books table. Right? Okay, so lagay nyo dito ay books table. Ano lang naman ang requirements class because in this activity, you just have to a simple overview how to create database and table in MySQL. Okay? Yun lang. So, meron na tayong dalawang table. Ito yung users table. So, you can, if you want, you can highlight the table. Bawa ito, lagyan nyo ng ganyan. Ay, pwede naman yan eh. Sa no field. Ayan, i-insert yung ano ko. Yung change color. Oops, mali pala. Or yung line. Ayan, users table yan. Diba? Gusto yung ganyan. Okay lang. Okay, and then, so we have now class our dalawang table. Okay, so the rest, there are still at least 3 tables, yung review table, checkouts table, and then addresses. So you need to create that. Okay, nandito yung user ID is the primary key. Ito naman class, yung ID is, as you can see here, there is a relationship between checkouts, reviews, di ba? Meron siyang ID and book ID. So, ibig sabihin, meron tong primary key tsaka foreign key. Okay, let's try to insert data. Insert natin. Kung ano nandito klase, yan lang i-insert nyo. Okay, for example, you go to users table. Alright, so this is click this one, structure, para makita yung structure niya. Ayan. Nandito yung type. And as you can see here, yung ID na attribute, this is the primary key. You can see the key icon. Okay, so that is the very basic on how to create tables in MySQL database. Are you following? Nandiyan ba kayo?
Opo, sir.
Yes, sir.
Opo, sir.
Okay.
Yes po.
So next is we will insert record. Mag-insert tayo ng record. So it means that we will insert directly from our dashboard. Kumbaga, nandun tayo sa back-end class ng database. Halimbawa, kung ikaw ay hacker, parang napasok mo talaga yung yung pinaka-dashboard. So most of the time class, if you will be using MySQL, katulad nito, MongoDB, MariaDB, mga SQL yun, mga open source. So, i-ano nyo to, tawag doon, merong access authentication, merong password, username. Ganun din, pag i-code nyo to with PHP or C# o kaya kahit na Android, pwede naman to. Okay, so how to insert or add record class into the table? So hanapin nyo yung menu na insert. So as you can see, ito yung insert. Right? So ito yung query. If you want to query the database, ito ka magsusulat ng SQL query. Yung mga command. Okay, or SQL optimization or yung programming ng query. So since mag-i-insert tayo, so select the table. So na-select na natin, users table, click insert. And then, ito na yung dito tayo mag-i-insert, dito sa value. Makita nyo dyan sa value. So since class, yung ating ID, yung primary key natin na ID, naka-auto-increment, huwag na kayong maglagay dito. So automatic na yan maglalagay. So let's input the full name. This one is John Smith. So type nyo lang dyan, John Smith. And then enabled ay, ano ba yung niya? F. Tama, F. And then timestamp, pili lang kayo kahit anong date class. Right? So, albawa ngayon ay kung kailan nyo ginagawa, at about 20, okay lang. Kahit di nyo na sundan to. Kahit di nyo na yan sundan. Basta mayroon kayong date and time. So, automatic yan, mayroon yung date and time. And then next is si Alice Walker. Okay, Alice Walker. And wag na kayong mag-type sa ID kasi naka-auto-increment na yan. So Alice Walker, ang kanyang enabled ay true or T, timestamp, pili ka, halimbawa ay 20. Okay? So kulang tayo ng rows, magdagdag ka lang dito. So another rows, ayan, magdadagdag yan. Ito yung dalawang in-input natin. And then next is we have Harry Potter. True. Harry Potter T. Okay, so type nyo lang Harry Potter. And then timestamp. So kahit aling date. Then next is dagdag ka lang ng another one. Then is sino ba to? Jane Smith. True din. Jane Smith. J. And then enable true, timestamp, pili kayo kahit anong date. And then once na okay na to class, so apat lang naman yung input natin. So click nyo lang yung go. Ayan. Kahit aling dito. So click go. Okay, so 4 rows inserted. And the MySQL class, yung PHP-MyAdmin, it will provide you also ito yung SQL query how to insert. So as you can see here, insert into the name of the table, and then yung mga ano natin, attributes, ID, full name, enabled, login, and then values. Okay, so makita nyo dito sa ano natin, null. So, but of course, since auto-increment yan, so automatically yung PHP admin siya maglalagay ng values dyan. Okay? So these are the records na linagay natin. It enclosed with single quotes. Ito yung timestamp. Comma, 'di ba? Yung first value, ito separated by enclosed in a parenthesis. Next, ito na yung sunod na value. Ayan. Si Walker, ito yung comma separated yan. And then this one. Okay. So once na okay na class, you click on browse. So doon nyo na makikita yung laman. So ito na yung may laman. So the query for this, na display to lahat, is select star or select all from, so lakihan ko. Ayan. Select star or all from the, ayan, from table. Right? So kung nakaka-copy paste to class, kung control C mo yan, you go to SQL. So, ano, dyan na siya. So itong table kahit wala siyang ano dito, not enclosed with single quotes. And then, right, so ilagay mo dyan ay yung query, select all from the table name, users, and then click go. Execute mo yung query na yan. So ito yung lalabas. Yung lahat ng laman ng table. Okay. Let's say for example, mag-query tayo, ang ilalabas lang natin ay yung dalawang Smith. Or let's say si ano lang, si Jane. Or sa enabled, lahat lang ng true. Go to SQL, select all from users where, let's say, enabled na ano natin, attribute is equal to T. Used with single quotes. So yun yung query natin. Right? Diba? Meron tayong enabled, ayan, enabled na columns. Nakita nyo yung columns dito sa right side. So, click go. So, ang lalabas, ayan, tatlo lang. Di ba kanina apat to. So, naging tatlo. So, lahat ng true, yun lang lumabas. Ito yung query niya. So, select all from users where enabled. The column enabled is equal to T. O true, ito yung lumabas lahat. Okay? So, that is the purpose of this. Dito yung query niya, ng SQL. Diyan ka mag-i-input ng mga queries. So, we will be having a lot of activities class sa laboratory ng IT9 dito sa MySQL database. And as I've said, we will be using PHP in order to manipulate the database. Okay, PHP tayo dito. Basic lang. Okay. And then, again, go to browse. Ayan, nandito na lahat. So, again, you need to print screen nyo to. So, this is now the, di ba, sabi dito sa ating requirements, you need to add table entries or records. Di ba? Through mag-i-insert kayo. So, yun na yun. So, go back to your Word. Diba, ito ay, ano na to, 5 na class, 5 na yung table structure nyo. Then later on, so, copy-paste nyo lang yung table with entries. Right? So, ito na yung table with record. May laman. So, isama nyo yung query. Right? So, ito yung laman. Ayan. So, kahit yan. So, lagyan nyo lang ng label. Okay? So, this is now your records table with entries. Okay, yun na yun. So, ito yung mga laman. Okay, so yun lang. So, ganun lang naman ang submission dyan. Okay? So, para matapos na kayo dito sa case study. Okay, so, and then another requirement class is to, kailangan yung i-print screen yung database diagram. So, ano ba yung database diagram? So, if you will look at Google, type nyo class, type nyo database diagram. Example. Tapos click nyo yung images. So, this is an example of a database diagram. Okay, so ganito. Dapat, o kaya ito, depende sa But this one is, I think, sa MySQL. Ito yung hahanapin nyo, ganito. Okay? So, this one, I think, ibang database engine to. So, saan yan? So, go to library, right? Nandito yan sa, ano nyo, sa library database. And then, go to designer. Ayan. Go to, dito sa mga menu, meron yung more, di ba, na menu. Kasi marami pa yan. May privileges. Dito ka maglalagay ng password. Di ba? Walang password to. So, nakaroot lang tayo. Yung user. Nandito yung designer. Ito yung designer class. Ayan. Makikita nyo yung, at least ngayon, 2 table pa lang meron tayo. Right? So, ang gagawin nyo, you just have to connect. Ito yung connection. Create a relationship between this one at saka to. Okay, so okay nyo lang yan. Wait lang. Mayroong foreign key relationship. Create relationship. Wala tayong foreign key. Pareho kasing primary key. So, let's say cascade lang. So, wala tayong class. Wala tayong foreign and primary key. So, mag-create tayo ng table. So, go back to your database. Diba dito kasi sa natin, yung ito, right? Yung reviews, ayan, meron siyang ito, halimbawa itong let's say reviews, meron siyang ID dito. Anyway, itong ano bang mayroong relationship dito? So, yung book ID, ibig sabihin, yung books tsaka yung reviews. Ayan. Susubukan natin. So, gawin natin yan. So, let's create the table for, let's say, reviews. So, create tayo ng table. Ayan. Ang table yan. Table is review table. Reviews table. So, yung requirement, review underscore TBL. So, yun yung ating naming convention. And then, yung ilang columns yung reviews? 2, 4, 6. So, 6. Then go. So, again, ID. So, ID. Book ID. Book underscore ID. So, integer pareho. And then, the reviewer name. So, this is bar chart. So, gawin natin 20. So, pwede nyo gawing 30 yan. Okay lang. Or mas mataas. And then, we have the content. Ano ba yung niya? So, string. And then, rating. Ang rating ay numbers. So, integer lang. Okay na yan. And then, published date. Tama? Published date. Lagyan dito, published underscore date. So, published date is, this is timestamp. So, yung date, timestamp. Okay? And then, yung natin, so subukan natin hindi tayo naglagay class ng primary key. Wala tayong auto-increment. So, save natin. Length. So, book ID. Book ID. Integer, reviewer name, content. Pala. Content. Reviews is varchar. Ating 30 yan. 30. Rating, ID, book ID. Okay. May valid length. Gawin nating primary key itong ano natin. Okay. Yung ID. Okay. Save. Hihingi ng valid length. Varchar 30, integer. Publish date, rating. Ang date niya. Ay integer, varchar, dalawa. Integer yung rating. Rating ay integer time. Varchar. Okay. Integer lang. Integer lang naman to. Okay. Huwag natin. Hihingi siya ng length. Ito kasi hindi naman to kailangan may ano, yung integer, publish date, ID, book ID, integer, content, varchar, timestamp. Siya nanghihingi ng length. Meron ng length. No? Enter valid, valid length. Saan ba tayo? Library ID, reviews, table. Ba't nanghihingi ito? Tanggapin. Auto increment. Valid length. Nanghihingi ng valid length yung integer. Oh. Ba't hindi naman to kailangan ng length? Natin char. Ito natin i-refresh natin. Tayo tanggapin nyo. Reviews table. ID. Book ID. Auto-increment na natin yan. So one is review name. Content. Published. Ba? Published date. Rating. Content rating. Wait lang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anim pala to. Get tayo na. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yung publish date ito ay rating. So we have ID, book ID, reviewer name, content rating, publish date. So reviewer name, varchar, content, varchar. Okay, so ito lang kailangan natin. Integer, reviewer name, varchar, rating, integer. Publish date is timestamp. Okay. So save. So kanina ayaw tanggapin yung ano. So, kasi automatic na tong maglalagay ng ano yan, 11 hanggang 11. So for example class, nanghihingi siya. Kanina, hingi ng length. Meron naman tayo specify na length. You just have to refresh. I-refresh nyo lang sa yung browser. So we have now reviews table. Okay, so if we look, so this one, diba, auto increment book ID. Ano pa ba dito ang book ID? User ID, book ID. So this one. So merong relationship class, ito book ID, may book ID rito. Diba yung checkout? So gawin na natin yan. Madali lang naman yan. Go to your database, click yung database library. Then create yung checkouts. Ito. Checkouts table. So this is checks. The spelling niya. Checkouts. One word. Checkouts. Underscore. Get. Oops. The number of columns ni checkouts ay 2, 4. So 2, 4, 5. So mayroon siyang ID. And then mayroon ayan, user ID. So user or ID. Then meron siyang book underscore ID. Then after that, meron siyang checkout date, return date. So checkout date. Ito naman ay return date. So this one is timestamp. Okay, timestamp, return date, timestamp din. Yung ating book ID, lahat integer. So yung ID, user ID, book ID, integer lang. Integer. So ID. So gawin natin auto-increment din yung pinaka-primary key niya, ng table na yan. So it means that itong dalawang to class, both are foreign key dito sa table na to. Save natin. So invalid return date. Saan? Invalid default value. Okay. Return date, checkout date, timestamp. Bakit invalid yan? Hindi naman yan. So, date and time, subukan natin. Okay, save. So, you can also change that dito, class. So, mayroon na action to change. Subukan natin palitan. Timestamp. And then, save. Nag-error siya. So, ay tanggapin parehong timestamp. So, date and time na lang. Okay, so, date and time. Yung timestamp kasi, class, ito ay current time yan eh. Right? If you want to get the current time of ng computer. So if we change this to kaya hindi niya tinatanggap kasi 'di ba kinukuha kasi ng timestamp yung current date ng computer and during runtime. So pwedeng date and time na lang gamitin. Well, let's go back to our database. Click yung database. Go back to designer. So meron na tayong ito, ilang table na to. Tapos nagawa na natin yung lahat ng table. Okay, so we have 4 tables. Ayan. So if you want to create a relationship, di ba, from here, book ID, select primary key or unique key. Wait na. Saan ba yan? Reviews. Tayo mag-move nito. Okay. So, click natin yung checkout tsaka books. This one. This one and foreign key user ID. Missing index of columns. Column. May relationship to. User ID. Review and ng index.
Nice, buti hindi pa.
This one. Nandiyan pa ba kayo?
Yes, sir.
So user ID, and then this one is select a foreign key. Wala pala tayong foreign key. Let's see. Loading. Ayan. Yung browser. So ito, class, ay, ayan. Set up the relationship of these two tables. Checkout and book table. Ayan siya. Right. You can also this one, create relationship between, halimbawa ito, this is the reference key, primary key. Tapos ito yung foreign. Diba? Select nyo lang, let's say, null lang. Okay. Okay, problema, could not added. Create table, foreign key constraint, incorrect format. So, Walang format. Or let's say no action. So ayun, refresh lang natin. The review table and users table. So foreign, ito yung foreign. Foreign yung ano, no action. Okay, so we have here set the relationship between users and ito. Okay. So it means class that yung primary key dito sa users table is the primary key and the ID dito, yung relationship, diba, dito sa review table is ang tawag foreign key. So ID here is primary key and this one is, and the checks out table is the foreign key. Tawag dan. Yung isa primary, yung isa foreign. Okay. You can also set class user ID. Wala lang ditong user ID. Subukan natin tong relationship between this one, yung review table and checkout table. Create relationship. This one is the reference key. Okay, so balik tayo dito sa ating table. This is review table. Structure. Yung book ID. So, gawin nating yung ito. Okay, save natin. Table definition, autocolumns, define. So, ID integer. Hindi dito. Pala. So, book ID, yan. So, you want to execute the following queries. Ito yung query natin. Yun lang, i-drop niya yung ano. So, let's see. Primary index. Ayan siya. So, naka-auto increment, yung book ID is key, and then meron tayo yung ano, checkout. Ito structure, yung book ID, nating unique. Ayan, so meron siyang key. So we have from the, this is a checkout table and review table. Ano ba? Review table. Ayan. So go back to your database, click database and go to designer. Check natin kung pwede na nating lagyan ng key relationship yung dalawa. This one. So click create a relationship, go to this one, book, and then dito book, foreign. So let's say no action muna. Okay. Ayun siya, class. So this will be your database design. So pwede namang magbago yan, yung database design nyo. Depende sa rules ng inyong database. Okay? Sa policy, halimbawa, ng nagpapagawa ng database. Okay? So it means that, ayun siya, isa nyo na lang ng maayos. Huwag lang i-drag. Ayaw magpataas. Ayan siya. Ayan. Yun. Ayos naman yun. So this is your class. So this is your database designer, database design. So dito natin masiset yung cardinality, yung relationship between tables. It means that see to it that when you set the relationship, mayroong dalawang key. Yung isa set as the foreign key, the other one is the primary key and then foreign key. So it means that yung natin class, by the way, you cannot create relationship, set relationship kung walang primary key at saka foreign key. So as you can see here class, checkouts table, mayroong relationship with the review table. Right? And then yung nag-set ng relationship between these two table is the book ID. So book ID, this is foreign key in the checkouts table. Yung book ID dito sa review table is also foreign key. So pwede yung mag-set yung set ng relationship. As you can see here, the relationship between checkout table and books table is set through this primary key, yung ID. This one, user table, ID. So iset lang natin class kanina, 'di ba? Pag nag-set tayo ng relationship, 'di ba? So yun na yun, may relationship na. So yun na yung design. So iset niyo lang yung both no action. Okay? And then kung tapos na 'yan, so nyo lang to class, print screen nyo 'yan, print screen. So yun na yung isama nyo doon sa Word. Yun na yung database diagram design. Okay. Ayan siya. So i-crop nyo lang. Ayan. So pwede naman ganyan. Ayan siya. Ayan, lakihan nyo lang para kita ko yung submission. So yun lang yun. Okay? So this table, ito yung may laman. So nag-insert. And then ito yung ating mga table structure. The name of the database. If for example, the name of the database, we just go back here. Ito na yung mga tables natin. So pwedeng ito na yun class. Ito yung database, ito yung mga tables. We click on the library database. Makikita nyo yung mga So ito na yung print screen nyo yan. Kompleto na yung mga table. Mayroon pang isa. Diba? In the case study, bang wala? Ito si addresses. So iset nyo class itong user ID. Nakita nyo dito, user ID. At saka yung user ID dito sa checkouts table, dapat mayroong relationship yan. Right? So mayroon pa dito, 'di ba, address table. So go back to So ito na yung buong database. Yung pinakauna class dito sa kaya nyo lang diyan. Print screen nyo. So ito yung database with tables. Okay, so ayan. Basta makita ko yung database name. Ayan siya. Okay. So move. Ayan. Pwedeng liitan pa to. Crop mo lang. Kita natin yung structure. Ayan, kahit ito. Kahit ganyan. Ayan. So, this one is lagay nyo lang sa taas, di ba, case study. O ito yung case study. Lagay yung pangalan nyo dyan. So, your name. And then, this one is, ito yung database. Ayan. Database name, library, _db. So yan na yun. Ito yung one. Ito yung database. Bulakihan nyo na lang. About 12. Ayan, tables. So this is the database name. Ayan, library. Ito yung kanyang mga tables. Ito yung table structure. Bali, 5 yan. And then, you have your lahat ng tables with entries. Ito isa lang yung ginawa natin. So, in your case study, ito na yon. Diba? Input nyo lang to, class. Ayan. May mga, kung ano naka dito, input nyo lang. Sa date naman, yung date kahit alin. So, ISBN, kung ano nandyan, input nyo yan. So, yung mga date kahit alin. Ito, okay? So, yun lang naman yan sa case study. And it means that in your dito class sa ating designer, okay, meron pa ditong isang table right here. Yung last table is the addresses table. Ang primary key niya user ID. So isiset niyo yung relationship nito dito sa user ID na nandito kay checkout table. Okay, it means that meron pa ditong isang table, checkout table, ito, merong user ID. So gawin niyo yan, punta kayo dito sa structure. Tama ba? Tik tayo. Checkout. So punta ka sa checkout table, structure, check mo yung user ID, and then click unique. So meron ng key, yan, meron ng key. Once na meron na siyang key, anyway, kapag ginawa nyo naman yung address table, automatic ito, gawin nyo tong primary key, right? Naka-auto increment. So when you go back to the library in the designer, ayan class. So you can now set the relationship between the address table na gagawin nyo, di ba yun yung pang ano, yung pang 5 table. So you can now set the relationship ito. Yung ayan, user ID papunta dun sa user primary key no address table. Ito. Okay, so yun lang class. So that is all for this demonstration on creating database and table in MySQL database, and also how to insert record, and also how to set the relationship using the database designer to create a database diagram, and setting the keys, yung mga primary keys. Any questions, class? Mayroon kayong tanong? Wala. Okay, so I will stop the recording. So you can download the recording in your Microsoft Teams.